Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that directly challenges one of our most ingrained assumptions. The idea that Homo sapiens was always destined to be the sole supreme intelligent species on Earth. We often picture human history as this neat, linear march of progress, you know, leading directly to us.
But the sources you've provided for this deep dive, I mean, a real treasure trove of archaeological findings, genetic research, even discussions around ancient myths, they paint a much richer and, frankly, more humbling picture.
Yeah.
They reveal an ancient world teeming with multiple distinct kinds of intelligent hominins, living, evolving, and interacting right alongside our ancestors.
Exactly. Our current solitude on this planet, as the only surviving human species, isn't some ancient given. It's actually a profound and surprisingly recent anomaly in the grand sweep of evolutionary time.
Our mission today really is to help you reconstruct these lost worlds of other minds. We want to explore the complex reasons behind their, well, mysterious disappearance, and then try to distill the powerful philosophical lessons this deep history holds for our own species. It's a narrative that serves as the ultimate mirror, I think.
Definitely.
Showing us that intelligence, in all its forms, is simply no guarantee of permanence.
Okay, let's unpack this. You've sent us some incredible research, from forgotten epochs of intelligence research to really cutting-edge academic papers. We're going to use these to guide you through a truly fascinating journey into the profound precarity of intelligence and, well, what it means to be the last hominin standing. So when most of us think about human evolution, we often visualize that straightforward ladder, right? Ape, then early human, then us. But these sources really challenge that idea head on. They suggest it's pretty much incorrect. Instead, the fossil record reveals what's beautifully described as a branching bush of minds.
That's a critical distinction. And the crucial part of that analogy, I think, is understanding that each of those branches, each distinct species, wasn't a failed experiment or just a stepping stone on our path. They were successful, sovereign lineages in their own right, each perfectly adapted to their specific environments. This isn't just about different looks, it's about different ways of being intelligent.
And that incredible journey of adaptive intelligence, it really began with a foundational shift in the early Pleistocene, roughly 2.5 million years ago. The sources highlight what they call a techno-dietary feedback loop.
Ah, yes.
A powerful connection between new technology, changing diets, and fueling brain growth. It all kicks off with the handyman, Homo habilis.
That's right. Homo habilis appeared in East and South Africa roughly 2.5 to 1.7 million years ago. They earned their name, the handyman, because of their association with the very first systematic stone tools, known as the Oldowan toolkit.
Simple tools, relatively speaking.
Yeah, we're talking about simple choppers and sharp flakes here. But even though they seem basic to us now, their systematic manufacture represented a significant cognitive leap. I mean, beyond anything seen before.
How so?
Well, it required real foresight, to select the right raw materials and the precise skill to strike a core at the correct angle to create a functional edge.
So this wasn't just grabbing a convenient rock. This was deliberate, an active creation with a specific purpose.
Exactly.
And this tool use led to a true dietary revolution, unlocking access to high-energy meat and nutrient-rich bone marrow from large animal carcasses. They were likely expert scavengers, maybe not primary hunters yet.
That's the thinking, yeah. Expert scavengers. But that protein-rich diet had enormous consequences for their evolution.
It absolutely did, because that dietary shift meant a reduced need for a long, energy-intensive gut.
Right, freeing up metabolic energy.
For another organ,
Yeah.
the brain. Homo habilis saw a significant increase in brain size, reaching around 680 cubic centimeters. That's a considerable jump from the under 500 cc of their predecessors.
And this new energy source also facilitated the development of brain areas associated with language, potentially. And we see evidence of surprisingly complex social structures.
Like what sort of evidence?
Well, suggesting cooperative groups of around 70 to 85 individuals, probably for defense and sharing resources.
It's a fascinating gamble, isn't it? Using tools to get better food, which then fuels bigger brains, allowing for even more complex tool use. It's a loop.
A powerful feedback loop, yeah.
So if Homo habilis initiated that loop, then Homo erectus, our next species in this deep dive, absolutely perfected it. They flourished for an astonishing 1.9 million years. I mean, that makes them arguably the most successful human species ever. What an incredible run.
Their success is truly palpable in their defining technology. The Acheulean toolkit, which appeared about 1.76 million years ago, the signature bifacial hand axe, symmetrical, teardrop-shaped.
Iconic, really.
It is, and it represents what's been called a quantum leap in conceptual thought. Crafting these tools required not just manual dexterity, but a sophisticated mental blueprint and long-term planning, much more complex than the Oldowan tools.
And it wasn't just their brains that changed. Their bodies underwent a profound transformation too, right? Homo erectus was the first hominin with truly modern human-like proportions.
That's right. Long legs, shorter arms, a tall, efficient build.
Adapted for what? Walking long distances? Running.
Exactly. Efficient long-distance walking and running. This fundamentally transformed them into formidable hunter-gatherers, capable of even taking down large game.
Wow.
But perhaps their most transformative technology, the one that really solidified their place, was the control of fire. Now, the earliest evidence is still debated, but sites like Gesher Banat Yaakov in Israel show controlled hearths dating back as far as 790,000 years ago.
And fire provides warmth, protection.
Critical protection from predators, yeah. And most crucially, cooking.
And cooking food, that breaks down tough fibers and proteins, unlocking even more nutrients.
Further fueling that accelerating brain growth, exactly.
Plus, the hearth wasn't just a kitchen, was it? It became the social center.
Absolutely. A place for sharing food, transmitting vital information, strengthening social bonds.
And what stands out to me is that 1.77 million-year-old skull from Dmanisi, Georgia. The elderly, toothless individual.
Oh, yeah. Powerful evidence.
It really highlights this social complexity, suggesting this person was cared for by their group, right?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't chew on their own.
Precisely. And this combination of advanced technology, anatomical adaptation, and sophisticated social cooperation is exactly what allowed Homo erectus to be the first hominin to disperse out of Africa.
The first globetrotters.
Spreading across vast stretches of Asia and even into Europe, yeah.
Okay, so if the early Pleistocene was about these foundational leaps, the Middle Pleistocene, say, roughly 770,000 to 129,000 years ago, that was a true maelstrom, a dynamic, crowded world that utterly demolishes any linear model of cognitive evolution. Sapiens, it turns out, was a spectrum, not just a single point leading to us.
And what's truly fascinating here is that this period was not just a waiting room for modern humans. It was teeming with distinct forms of advanced hominins, and among them are closest extinct relatives, Homo neanderthalensis.
Neanderthals.
They dominated Western Eurasia for hundreds of thousands of years until about 40,000 years ago.
And crucially, the sources really emphasize they were far from the brutish cavemen stereotype.
Oh, absolutely not. Neanderthals were intelligent, incredibly adaptable, with brains as large as or even slightly larger than ours, around 1,500, 1,600 cubic centimeters.
Wow.
They were apex predators, absolute masters of their harsh Ice Age environments. And they employed sophisticated Mousterian tools. This included advanced stone knapping techniques like the Levallois technique.
Can you explain that technique a bit?
Sure. It's where they would carefully prepare the stone core first, shaping it so they could get a perfectly formed flake, the tool they wanted, with a single precise strike. It shows incredible foresight and skill. Planning.
Got it.
And increasingly, evidence points to a rich inner symbolic world for Neanderthals. They intentionally buried their dead. Sites like Shanidar Cave, famous for its controversial flower burial, and La Forassie provide compelling evidence for this.
Which suggests complex social bonds, maybe even a nascent understanding of mortality.
That's the interpretation, yes. And potentially an afterlife. Moreover, they shared the FOXP2 gene, which is implicated in speech and language in us.
Right.
And they possessed a human-like hyoid bone, a small bone in the throat that supports the tongue. These details strongly suggest they had the anatomical and genetic capacity for complex vocal communication.
Maybe not exactly like ours, but definitely complex.
Likely, yes.
And what's truly compelling from these sources is the recent genetic analysis from Chigirskaya Cave in Siberia. That gave us an unprecedented snapshot of their social organization, didn't it?
It really did, revealing they lived in small, close-knit communities, perhaps 10 to 20 individuals. They even found a father and his teenage daughter.
Incredible detail.
And the genetic patterns even suggest a patriarchal society, meaning that once grown, females typically left their birth groups to join those of their male partners, while males tended to stay put. It paints a picture of a truly parallel humanity.
Wow. And then we have the Denisovans. So enigmatic.
Almost entirely known from ancient DNA. recovered from that one Siberian cave initially, a distinct sister lineage to Neanderthals ranging across vast stretches of Asia.
And their true significance lies in the complex web of interbreeding they engaged in throughout their long history. This is mind-blowing.
It is. This rampant interbreeding is utterly fascinating. They mixed with Neanderthals, with an unknown, super archaic hominin lineage that split off nearly 2 million years ago. And crucially, with multiple waves of Homo sapiens expanding out of Africa.
And their genetic legacy isn't just a footnote either, is it?
Not at all. Up to 4–6% Denisovan ancestry is found in modern Melanesians, Aboriginal Australians, and other populations in Southeast Asia and Oceania. The Aitam-Agricon people in the Philippines have the highest level recorded.
And this ancient inheritance provided tangible benefits.
Absolutely. For example, a Denisovan gene variant helps modern Tibetans thrive at high altitudes by increasing oxygen efficiency in their blood. And other Denisovan genes are linked to heightened immune responses that probably helped our ancestors adapt to new diseases as they moved into new territories. So the Denisovans weren't just replaced, they were absorbed. Their genetic echoes are woven directly into the fabric of our own biology today.
It's a much more complex picture than just replacement.
Much more.
Okay, let's talk about another species that completely upended conventional wisdom, Homo naledi, discovered deep within the Rising Star cave system in South Africa.
Ah, yes, naledi.
This species presents a stunning paradox, right? Primitive, sort of Australopithecine-like features combined with evidence of extraordinarily complex behavior.
Exactly. And here's the truly mind-bending part. Despite having a brain no larger than a chimpanzee.
Tiny brain, yeah.
Tiny brain, maybe 450, 600 cubic centimeters. They show us that profound emotional and social behaviors, like potentially caring for the dead, might evolve completely independently of massive brain size.
That just challenges everything we thought we knew about brain size and intelligence?
It really does. It forces us to question that simple equation.
So the controversy and the insight surrounds the context of their fossils. Hundreds of bones, at least 15 individuals, found in the naledi chamber, a place so remote, so hard to access.
That it strongly suggests intentional deposition of the dead, a deliberate mortuary practice.
Which, if correct, implies a profound cognitive and emotional leap, an awareness of death, a social, maybe even ritualized response to it.
It's a very strong hypothesis. And the plot thickens even further with the discovery of potential engravings, these deliberate geometric patterns on the cave walls near these remains.
Which is something we usually associate with behavioral modernity.
Exactly. So the implication, as you mentioned, is staggering. It suggests that emotional and social drivers for complex ritual and meaning-making may have evolved independently of and perhaps even preceded massive brain expansion.
It forces us to rethink the very roots of what we consider human behavior. Wild.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to another set of puzzles. Islands. They're often natural evolutionary laboratories, aren't they?
They certainly are.
And the hominins discovered on Flores and Luzon definitely produced some surprising results about brain size, body size, and, well, what it truly means to be intelligent.
Let's start with Homo floresiensis. Colloquially known as the Hobbit of Flores, discovered in 2003 in Indonesia.
Tiny people.
Tiny. Stood only about 1 meter tall, maybe 3.5 feet, and had a tiny brain, around 426 cubic centimeters. That's actually smaller than a chimpanzee's.
And the accepted explanation is insular dwarfism from Homo erectus.
That's the leading theory, yes. A stranded Homo erectus population evolved to be smaller over generations due to limited resources on the island. Classic island effect.
But the enigma is the profound disconnect between that tiny brain size and their behavior. The archaeology shows sophisticated stone tools.
Hunting pygmy elephants, stegodon.
And controlled fire. Activities we universally associate with large brain hominins. This just directly refutes the simplistic equation. Brain size equals intelligence.
It absolutely does. And the solution likely lies in brain organization, not just absolute size.
How do we know that?
Endocasts, casts of the inner skull that show the brain's shape and surface features, reveal that certain parts of their brain were surprisingly advanced. Specifically, an enlarged Brodmann area 10 in the prefrontal cortex.
Which is linked to
planning, problem-solving, initiative in modern humans. So it suggests a profound example of neural efficiency. Even with a small brain, critical circuits for high-level functions were highly developed. They essentially optimized their mental hardware to an incredible degree.
Wow. Brains rewired for efficiency.
Seems like it.
Okay, adding to this island mystery is Homo luzonensis, A more recent discovery in the Philippines dated to over 50,000 years ago.
Yes, another fascinating find.
And it presents a baffling mosaic of features,
Yeah.
like modern human-like molars, but then Homo erectus-like premolars with 3 roots.
And strikingly primitive Australopithecine-like curved finger and toe bones, which suggests they might have retained some tree climbing abilities. A real mix-and-match situation.
And Luzon has always been an island.
Always. Which means these archaic humans made significant sea crossings to get there. That's a truly monumental feat.
Is there evidence for that kind of travel that early?
Yes, supported by evidence of 700,000-year-old stone tools and butchered rhinoceros bones found on Luzon, long before modern humans arrived. Surviving such a journey and establishing a viable population would have required immense resilience and adaptability.
So together, Homo floresiensis and Homo luzonensis powerfully demonstrate that Southeast Asia hosted diverse hominins following unique evolutionary paths.
Exactly. They really show evolution's astonishing ability to produce complex cognition through multiple, unpredictable anatomical pathways. It seems governed by an efficiency principle, perhaps, where intelligence is optimized by how the neural circuits are organized, not just by the sheer volume of the brain.
Incredible diversity. Okay, so for millions of years, Earth was home to this diverse family of hominins, this mosaic of minds. Today, there's only one, us.
And the disappearance of all other human species represents one of the most profound mysteries in our evolutionary story, this great silence, as you call it. It wasn't the result of a single simple cause.
Right.
It was a complex interplay of environmental pressures and the emergence of a new, uniquely disruptive biological force.
And the sources are clear. The backdrop for the final act of this drama was the Pleistocene epoch. An era of profound environmental instability.
Relentless instability. The planet was subject to dramatic, repeated climatic oscillations, cycling between vast glacial periods and warmer interglacial periods.
These shifts radically reshaped the globe, didn't they?
Yeah.
Massive ice sheets advancing and retreating, dramatic sea level changes.
Fundamentally transforming ecosystems worldwide. This relentless environmental volatility acted as a powerful evolutionary filter.
And there's the variability selection hypothesis.
Exactly. It posits that human traits like our large brains and remarkable capacity for cultural learning evolved precisely because they conferred the adaptability needed for such unpredictable conditions. But the flip side is,
the same pressures that drove adaptation in some could also drive extinction, especially for more specialized or geographically isolated hominin populations.
precisely. And we see the immense stress these events placed on all large-bodied animals, the concurrent extinction of many iconic Pleistocene megafauna mammoths, woolly rhinos, giant sloths. It really underscores the immense environmental stress that was reshaping the planet during this time.
Okay, so into this already challenging and volatile world emerges a new, uniquely disruptive force.
Yeah.
The expansion of anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, out of Africa. Starting around, what, 60,000 years ago?
Roughly, yeah. That major wave. And ecocultural niche modeling, basically studying how a species fits into its environment and lifestyle, suggests that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, for example, exploited very similar resources and habitats.
Yeah, we're going after the same stuff.
Essentially aiming for the same spot in the food chain, yes.
And according to the ecological principle of competitive exclusion, two species occupying the exact same niche can't coexist indefinitely.
That's the principle. Even a slight competitive advantage by one will eventually lead to the displacement of the other. But it's unlikely this was, a violent, direct extermination across the board.
More like a slow burn.
Far more, probably a slow demographic attrition playing out over thousands of years.
So Homo sapiens might have had some subtle advantages.
That's the idea. Perhaps more efficient hunting technologies like the spear thrower, the atlal, allowing hunting from a safer distance.
Okay.
Or maybe larger and more complex social networks providing a crucial buffer during hard times. Or even just a more flexible, opportunistic diet.
And even a small, consistent reproductive advantage, just a few percent.
Would be sufficient over millennia to cause other populations to dwindle and eventually disappear. It's a numbers game over deep time.
And crucially, the story is not just one of replacement. You mentioned absorption.
Yes, and this is key. The genetic record clearly shows extensive interbreeding as modern humans spread across the globe. Neanderthals and Denisovans, in a very real sense, were woven directly into the Homo sapiens gene pool.
So their extinction was a complex process of both displacement and assimilation. They vanished as distinct groups, but parts of them live on in us.
Exactly. It's a nuanced picture.
So the most compelling explanation for their disappearance, then, is not a single cause, but this cascade model of extinction.
That seems to fit the evidence best, yes. Long-term cyclical climate change acted as the primary overarching stressor. It caused archaic hominin populations to shrink and fragment into isolated pockets, often called refugia.
Like islands of habitat.
Basically, yes. And genetic analysis, for instance, of the all-time Neanderthals reveals extremely low genetic diversity.
Consistent with a small, isolated population already may be struggling.
Precisely, already on the brink. These stressed, fragmented, and genetically impoverished populations were then uniquely vulnerable to the arrival of Homo sapiens.
So the competitive pressure from incoming modern human groups was the final 1-2 punch.
That's a good way to put it. It pushed these already struggling populations over the edge, and this model elegantly explains the staggered chronology of extinctions, which appears to follow the migratory wave of modern humans globally.
So the disappearance of the Neanderthals in Europe, the last stand of Homo erectus in Indonesia, the vanishing of the Denisovans in Asia, they weren't a single event.
No, more like a series of localized extinctions that, taken together, ended the multi-species world that had been the norm for millions of years. It was a systemic cascade failure, really, a delicate equilibrium pushed beyond its resilience by planetary instability and the arrival of a novel biological competitor.
Wow. Okay, so the story of our extinct relatives is far more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a profound philosophical mirror reflecting our own nature, our fragility, and our immense responsibilities as the last hominin species on Earth.
Absolutely. The very existence of other intelligent hominins fundamentally challenges our anthropocentric view, the idea that humanity is the sole measure of all things.
It really forces us to redefine what intelligence even means beyond our own human-centric view, doesn't it?
It does.
The diverse cognitive profiles we've discussed. Homo erectus' incredible technical mastery and adaptability. Neanderthals' rich symbolic and emotional depth. Homo naledi's paradoxical social complexity with a small brain. Homo floresiensis' stunning neural efficiency.
They all represent different, equally valid forms of sapience. They were alternative answers to the question, what can a mind be?
And this lesson is amplified when we look beyond our own family tree, as the sources suggest.
Exactly. Consider the intelligence of octopuses with their distributed nervous system and complex problem-solving abilities. They represent an entirely separate evolutionary experiment in cognition, diverged from us maybe 500 million years ago.
Truly alien intelligence right here.
Or the learned cultural traditions and distinct vocal dialects of orcapods, another powerful form of non-human intelligence. These alien minds on our own planet serve as powerful analogies for the varied minds of our extinct relatives, showing that evolution finds many paths to complex thought.
And this really helps resolve what's sometimes called the sapient paradox, right?
Yeah.
The question of why anatomically modern humans existed for tens of thousands of years before finally exhibiting what we traditionally call behaviorally modern traits, like complex art, music, agriculture.
Yes, the paradox largely dissolves when we recognize that components of behavioral modernity, things like symbolic thought, complex toolmaking, social care, these were invented whole cloth by us. They were being experimented with in different combinations across the entire hominin world for hundreds of thousands of years.
So our great leap forward wasn't some singular sudden creation.
More like a successful synthesis, a final, effective combination of traits that had deep evolutionary roots across our entire family tree. We put the pieces together in a way that worked eventually.
Okay, let's talk about fragility. Contemplating deep time truly reveals extinction as the rule, not the exception.
It's a stark statistic. Over 99.9% of all species that have ever lived on Earth are now gone.
And when you think about it, even the incredibly successful Homo erectus, whose reign lasted nearly 2 million years,
9 times longer than our own species has existed so far,
ultimately vanished. This is a profoundly humbling perspective. It reminds us that our own brief tenure on this planet is by no means guaranteed.
And the echoes of their disappearance are particularly chilling because the very forces that drove them to extinction are unnervingly familiar to us today.
Like what?
Well, studies of past societal collapses, from the Maya to the Indus Valley civilization, consistently point to factors like environmental degradation, resource depletion, abrupt climate change, and social instability.
The very same pressures that likely contributed to the demise of our hominin cousins.
Very likely, yes. And today, our global civilization is replicating these conditions on an unprecedented planetary scale.
So the crucial lesson from the deep past is stark. Intelligence and technology, no matter how advanced, are not an impenetrable shield against ecological collapse.
Absolutely not. Neanderthals were intelligent, technologically sophisticated, well adapted to their environments, yet they disappeared. Our unique intelligence allows us to comprehend these existential risks.
But it offers no guarantee that we will muster the collective will to avert them.
That seems to be the challenge, yes.
We are, in a way, a species haunted by ghosts.
Myths and legends across disparate cultures, tales of giants, wise precursor races. Perhaps these are faint cultural echoes of a time when we were not alone.
It makes you wonder. The Greek myths of the Cyclops, for example, could they have been inspired by the skulls of dwarf elephants found on Mediterranean islands? Their central nasal cavity mistaken for a single eye socket.
It's a fascinating possibility. These stories might preserve distorted memories.
And this unique solitude of ours being the last one standing. It isn't a trophy of our superiority, is it?
No, it seems more like a profound and perhaps tragic accident of history, and it bestows upon us an unprecedented ethical weight.
As the sole surviving inheritors of a planet once shared by many kinds of people,
We have a unique responsibility. Having witnessed and likely contributed to the extinction of our closest relatives, we are now presiding over the sixth mass extinction event in Earth's history, an event driven almost entirely by our own actions.
the Fermi paradox asks, where is everybody in the cosmos? This deep dive suggests a chilling terrestrial answer, doesn't it?
It does. Our planet produced numerous forms of intelligent life, numerous hominins, and they were all eventually filtered out by the unforgiving realities of climate change and intense competition. Homo sapiens is the only species known to have passed this terrestrial great filter so far. The ultimate lesson, perhaps, from these echoes before us is a stark admonition. Our continued survival depends on recognizing that we are now creating the next filter ourselves, and that no intelligence can long endure if it systematically destroys the ecological foundations upon which it depends.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? This deep dive into our family tree isn't just about ancient history. It's a profound reflection of our present circumstances and maybe a powerful guide for our future.
Indeed. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the story of our extinct relatives teaches us, quite clearly, I think, that intelligence, even advanced technology, doesn't guarantee permanence. Our unique solitude today comes with immense responsibility, as you said.
It certainly does. It makes you think differently about how we define success for a species in the long run. We've seen how other hominins were innovative, deeply social, and incredibly connected to their environments in ways we might not fully grasp.
And this raises an important question for you to consider. Given these insights, these forgotten epochs of intelligence, how does this redefine your understanding of human potential and maybe the stewardship we owe to our planet?
What stands out to you most about these past intelligences? Is our position as the last hominin standing a sign of our unique strength, maybe our adaptability? Or is it actually a powerful, humbling warning? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep making those surprising connections. We hope this deep dive has given you plenty to mull over.